We're actually early this time, by the way.
We
We're early
are,
by like 10
well,
minutes.
I don't know. We did,
I
like, my
set this
tweet
for
may have
5
misled
o'clock.
people.
I set this for 5 o'clock though, Eastern time, and it is 4:50. So
Sheesh.
Oh, wow.
People are just going to have to adapt.
Look at
I'm not
us.
sure how many people we're going to get given it was a preseason game and the Mariners are playing.
yeah,
People love ball, man.
I mean,
People do love ball, but, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Mariners play with a spherical object as well.
I'm simultaneously watching the Mariners
True.
too. I'll even
Right,
admit it.
okay.
I'm
Well,
potting
that's
and watching the
brilliant.
Mariners.
And there was
The
me
modern-
thinking we had professionals.
Modern fan can multitask.
Us professionals, really. By the way, I'm digging the stash. I saw that on the show the other day. I was like,
Oh, thank you. It's because I ran out of shaving foam.
No, just leave it. Just leave it. It's good. It's good. We're some facial hair boys up here. Some facial hair
I don't
men.
think so. I don't think so. But the chat was very kind about it. So
You look good, Matty.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Griff.
Looking good, lad.
Oh, you didn't say thanks to me.
Yeah, say thank you to Ty. What's wrong with you? What's up, bro? What's good?
There's a lot wrong with me.
You beefing right now? Are we beefing?
No, we're not beefing. We're not beefing.
Oh, OG3 is back in the chat. What? He's unbanned?
Yeah,
OG3 was a temporary ban.
He's on
OG3 was back
parole.
last week, Ty. Last pod.
No, OG3's on parole.
I'm just like I'm ignoring OG3.
He's on Matty parole. He did nothing wrong. That's the official Seattle overload policy. Matty's just gone rogue.
Yeah, they're pointing out I get a head start on Movember. Like I would need like a multiple month head start. Like yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
I don't really want to talk about this game. I mean, that's not the best intro. This is a Seattle Seahawks podcast. Check out the podcast.
Well, it's the big transition though. The last preseason game, 53-man roster talk now. You know, a lot of players' careers just ended tragically. Hopefully, most of them get picked up by the USL, USFL, XFL. From a pure numbers perspective, I imagine majority of these guys would. They want to keep playing football.
Yeah, because I'd say well, I guess we should talk about this in the podcast. But
have we started?
No.
Start it. Do it.
You want me to start it?
Do it.
Just do it. Do it.
Do it, coward.
Oh my gosh. This is literally peer pressure right now. Live peer pressure.
I'm bullying my boss
let me do
right now.
the video thing.
Right.
Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where sadly your Seattle Seahawks were unable to stay undefeated, full winning season against the Green Bay Packers. Yes, they've lost 19-15 in Lambeau Field, but some football was played. We are here to live react to that. Pete Carroll also gave some interesting press conference quotes, but before we get to the major news that the head coach divulged, Griff, how are you with that defeat? Are you tweeting "sell the team" and fire everyone, or?
I'm good. I mean, I don't know. We've seen enough of what we need to see from the players that I hate to say the word matter, but the ones that matter, at least translating toward the regular season. I sit here before you a satisfied customer.
Oh, you paid money for that, huh?
In a roundabout way, yeah. Drew Lock looked. I mean, he can do play action. You know, his arm applies in that context.
Yeah, he's Jared Goff.
No, he's not Jared Goff.
Well, he could do play action.
Yeah, but Goff can also do drop back, just not well. Well, I mean, no, he can do it well, but Goff is such a complicated conversation.
Yeah.
Drew Lock is like he's like if Brock Purdy was more talented,
bigger, more Chad.
Right. Yeah, more Chad energy.
No, he's got Sigma energy.
More Drew.
Yeah.
Ty, are you as positive as Griff is?
We've got a mic
Ty has
issue.
chosen a bad moment to mute in the chat. Brilliant.
You know,
well, my overall takeaway was
issues.
This was a sad end for the preseason, but we shouldn't
Am I back?
overreact.
He's back. We're back.
It's funny that
All
I'm
right, we're
having
back.
to say this, but Twitter was ablaze. Twitter was ablaze with some crazy reactions to this game.
Yeah,
just
Matty, this
remember,
was a
Griff said that-
disgrace. This was a disgrace. Those Seahawks are screwed. They're done. It's over.
Right. So obviously Ty needs to remember, like the other people, that as Griff pointed out, most of these guys aren't going to make the team. Pete Carroll did say that, that they get 69 guys who come back to them after these cuts with the practice squad too, and he wants most of them to stick around. He likes what they're building here. So, also consider that. But it was third stringers versus third stringers for like all of the second half. Seattle didn't play any first team players really. They were very much second string, and we got a cool moment to start the game where it was Green Bay's first string versus Seattle's second string, which was actually quite positive for the Seahawks. Like they kind of held their own. But Ty, joking aside, what did you think of that?
Yeah, I was actually very impressed with how the defense, the number 2 defense, held up against the Packers' number 1 offense. I thought that was a major win for them overall today. I think that was a great takeaway.
Teoscar Hernandez just hit a grand slam.
Did he really? Oh. Okay.
1 + 4, 5. The Mariners have 5 runs now. Okay, so sorry. Go ahead.
We're a Seahawk pod. We're a Seahawk pod. We got to stay on task here. Go Imps. Yeah, I thought Drew had a really interesting day. The last drive, the last scoring drive that they had, I mean, we got to see, pretty much what Drew has to offer, the good of Drew Lock, but overall I thought he had kind of a shaky day. Thought the offensive line kind of had a shaky day as well, but especially early on in the game, you got your number 2 line going up against guys like Kenny Clark. I mean, that went about as expected. It was preseason ball. It was preseason ball at the end of the day. It was fine. There's some individual performances that I think we'll talk about that were impressive, but other than that, it's the finale. Let's get to the regular season. Let's play some real football.
Indeed.
If I just use numbers to kind of sum it up before we get into Carroll's quotes from his press conference, I was thinking, the run defense, it looked shaky at times, but, overall, if you remove the quarterback runs, and okay, there were some short yardage carries for Green Bay, but overall, they held Green Bay to 3.6 yards per carry, which is respectable. They'd want that number to be slightly lower, but under 4 is pretty solid.
Yeah. From too high,
And they've done that for the most of all of the preseason. It's been that kind of number, so fine. Then the time of possession stats is very much skewed in Green Bay's favor, and okay, there was some silly stuff that the defense did, like Joey Blunt doing a discount double check to the Green Bay sideline, which was amusing, but
which I don't understand. That's a pro Packers sentiment in the year 2023. You're mocking Rodgers, which is inherently pro Love and pro Goody and pro LaFleur.
Yeah, Joey Blunt is a Jordan Love stan.
Yeah. What's the big deal?
Right, absolutely. And I'm sure if maybe Pete Carroll had argued that way, that would have saved Joey Blunt, and the second string defense would have shut out the first string Packers offense, and would have been feeling amazing about them.
Pete was fired up today. Pete was like going, especially in that first half. Pete was just like, he looked angry and upset. Yeah. Every time they cut to him, he was like screaming at the ref, or he looked pissed.
Yeah,
he's competing today.
Yeah, he was given his all for the for the bottom of the roster guys. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. But on the time of possession, Green Bay 37 minutes 24 seconds with the ball, compared to the Seahawks only having the football for 22 minutes 36 seconds. Now, a big problem with that was that Seattle's offense, for much of that third quarter in particular, with Drew Lock in at quarterback, they just couldn't move the football. Like they kept going kind of 3 and out. It was really sloppy. The pass game in particular was rough. They ended up going 6 of 14 on third down, which is below that 50% number, whereas the Packers went 9 of 18. But that 9 of 18 figure for the Packers just reflects the fact they were on they were at least able to not go 3 and out. Yeah, I don't know why. We need to kind of watch the tape back a bit to see why it was that rough. And I know receivers didn't help out Drew Lock either at times, but yeah, just as a drop back quarterback in particular, things get pretty scary, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, like that one stick dig play where it's the late throw to the flat on 3rd down. I mean, he clearly was leaning on his pre-snap read, which the progression in quick game can take you right there. But I don't know. The dig was wide open over the middle. I wish he had read the mic instead. But
wasn't the snap poor there?
Oh, maybe it was.
No, but my point being, as soon as the snap is poor, you have to know, even if you like the pre-snap read, you can't start trying to throw the ball late. Timing-wise, it's not going to be there.
True.
That was terrifying.
And that's for his arm. Like, he put a bullet over the middle right there, But
if the snap spat, I would just prefer that he eat it, but or
always eat it. So Locke was finished the game 16-25, 150 yards, 1 passing touchdown, 0 interceptions. Although that was fortunate. Now we'll talk more about individual players, but there's some noteworthy injuries in this game. Unfortunately, a part of football. And the main ones for me, Devin Bush in the 3rd quarter in punt coverage, I think it was, or some type of special teams coverage. He went to the blue tent with a concussion. Pete Carroll said he has a boxer's cut above his eye or something, and he said he'll be fine. But at the timeline with Devin Bush with concussions, if that's if you think about the protocol, that's going to make week 1 fairly tight. And then that is kind of linked to the news that Pete Carroll said he'd be shocked if Jordan Brooks isn't ready by week 1. And I think he used a similar kind of term of surprise as well. So they're clearly expecting Jordan Brooks to be able to play week 1 and be ready to play week 1. Thoughts?
Unfortunate for him that he got concussed. But, I mean, yeah, it sucks for him. He's had a good preseason. He's quality depth. Like, you feel kind of as good as you can feel about a backup linebacker, probably. Ty, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge bummer. I also don't get why he was still in the game at that point. Like,
yeah.
What I'd say there is, and I'd have to go back like a maniac and look through all the punt coverage stuff, but I don't know if he's been covering punts earlier in this preseason, and so in real games he will be on punt coverage, and so it may have been a case of they wanted to get him a few reps in the scheme of special teams, which is something we don't really delve into, but in Seattle's system and Larry Izzo's way of doing it, and so maybe that was their idea this week. But it was kind of odd.
It could also be that it's just a foregone conclusion that Wagner and Brooks are getting all the snaps, and they just want Bush to be able to take advantage of the opportunity to get as much experience with the defense as possible, should he have to come in an emergency or someone gets hurt, or for future reference, so that they have enough data on him for 2024.
But that contradicts what Pete said last week about him getting on the field.
But maybe Pete was lying.
No, he's not. No, he's not like that.
Or maybe it's because Brooks looks so good in practice since he's last said that it's like, okay, why would I take Brooks off the field?
Okay.
Bush can't get in there.
Okay, we're straying into kind of having a meal with a general kind of territory here. So 2 shoulder injuries here. Joey Blunt left the game with a shoulder injury after playing pretty well. Like, he looked fired up, and it was kind of cool to see his second year and how that looks. What that shoulder injury means to be decided, but Pete described that as an AC sprain kind of deal that he thought. And then the other one is rookie 2nd round edge rusher Derek Hall with a shoulder injury, AC sprain type injury. So those things suck.
Yeah, the Hall one more so, right? Because he was going to factor more into the defense rather than Blunt, right? Blunt was mostly just going to play, special teams, obviously, because of the depth that they have at safety. But it's a bummer for both of them, right? Because Blunt looked really good today, and I really like Joey Blunt in general. And Hall's obviously been very impressive this preseason. So losing him for any sort of time is terrible. So huge, massive bummer. Did that happen on the play where he nearly got Love? Is that when he got hurt? Because he did have kind of
It
an
might have been.
awkward
Pete
fall
was
on that
saying
play.
something about someone getting overexcited or something. But I couldn't really hear the press conference. Great reporting there. But
yeah, it was difficult to hear, but
it might have been on
was,
that. That's the type of play that sort of stuff happens.
Yeah. So
Anyway.
that's a massive bummer for the pass rushing rotation. So hopefully it's
that's really frustrating.
Yeah.
But some positive news. Jackson Smith-Njigba was back in Seattle's building yesterday and was walking around. Pete said he's the type of guy you have to hold back. But then Pete mentioned like a 10 days type of thing, which ain't the 3 to 4 weeks.
Interesting.
We're so back.
That ain't the 3 to 4 weeks we were thinking.
We're so back.
So I mean, maybe Pete was just vibing, and they're gonna have to hold him back. But if it's 10 days,
I believe Pete Carroll. I'm choosing to believe Pete Carroll.
Dr. Carroll is the final
right,
word.
Exactly. I mean, if he's currently wearing a brace on that wrist, so I mean, 10 days from now is in time for week 1.
Yeah,
Wolverine blood.
Right. He's got the same stuff they gave Jordan Brooks,
and Luke Wilson, and
yeah. Will Dissly, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that would be amazing because I was severely depressed about that when the news came out. So that would be great. Obviously, Bobo's making the team, but what do we think about the whole receiver situation at the bottom of the depth chart? Because I assume that they're going to keep 5, especially with JSN maybe not playing in week 1. So none of these guys really jumped out to me this preseason, especially today.
Well, you said Bobo, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
Well, he said he's been feeling nervous for a while about cut down day, and he's had it circled.
He's being humble.
He's making
Just to outline his situation, in 3 preseason games, he finishes with 7 catches for 125 yards, 2 touchdowns, along with his blocking, his special teams play. Today he had 2 catches for 27 yards and a touchdown, plus he drew a defensive pass interference flag. And if you look at like Seattle's actual receiving depth chart, just to kind of set us into the rest of the guys at the bottom of the depth chart you mentioned, Ty, there isn't that many people like above Bobo right now, with Derek Young being hurt, not playing in this game. Seems like he was seeking a second opinion on surgery for his hernia. I don't know if he got that, but there's DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith-Njigba, who, to be decided. Then the other names are Cody Thompson out today with a shoulder injury. I think it's shoulder. Cade Johnson, who we'll talk about, Matt Landers, Jake Bobo, Aesop Winston Jr. So Jake Bobo is like wide receiver 3 if JSN can't go, right?
Yeah, like he's playing a significant amount of snaps against the Rams.
Yep.
Good for him, man. That touchdown he had, the release, because it would have been it was the first time they pressed them in a while, Drew Lock was saying. And it was interesting to me because Drew Lock was asked how he got so open on that play. And he obviously can't see the release because he's snapping the ball and playing quarterback. But he said, I imagine it is Jake's release because Jake's really good at releasing and getting out of there. And lo and behold, it was. He waited at the line. He had the right moment of hesitation. He didn't panic. He knows the timing of stuff and how much time he has to create. And he was open, like seriously open, and great placement from Lock. That was like probably his best throw on the day. And there you go. That's how you make an NFL roster.
Yeah, and he's totally throwing in my face me saying that he's only an X. He can run some routes, and he can really work on those reduced splits, and he knows how to use the leverage advantages there further to his advantage and capitalize on that. So I mean, he really fits in with the offense, and it's cool to have a receiver in this offense that can kind of operate in the classic kind of recent Waldron McVay style of offense with that kind of height and frame. It's kind of interesting. They haven't really had that type of receiver before. Because DK isn't doing those things. They're letting DK still be DK for the most part, which is a good thing, which is good for the offense and all that stuff. But so like they've slotted Boba right in there as though he's another one of those 5'11" guys with good change of direction skills and decent route running ability. So I don't know. They'd be curious to see what happens with him. Can he be something more than a wide receiver 4 caliber player down the line? The fourth receiver in this offense, if you go back to the most like voluminous iteration of this McVay offense, you go to 2018, the fourth receiver still got like 60 targets, and that's with the tight ends still getting 70, 80 in total. So, I mean, Bobo, if he sticks around, he might get thrown 50 balls this year, which isn't nothing.
Yeah, this isn't really necessarily a physical or player comp, but just more of the idea. Like, could he be Josh Reynolds?
Right. Exactly. Yep.
The way that he's being used right now is kind of like the Reynolds.
Right. And like that's to contradict myself, Reynolds is 6'3", but yeah, he's the only one in that group, that is 6'3". So now enter Jake Bobo, all 6'4" of them,
Wow. There you go. Did you know his name is actually Jackson?
Is it
It's
really?
not Jacob?
It's not
No, it's
Josh?
Jackson. He's a Jackson Jake.
Oh,
how do we feel
interesting.
about that?
Jackson Jake.
I mean, he's
Bobo,
already-
To me, that
Heinrich
is a
Schmidt.
stock up. That's bold.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, he's already got kind of sicko vibes, so I mean that adds more fuel to that. Yeah, I'm down. I'm down.
There you go.
Sure.
All right. So after him, like it would be rare. Like Seattle's not going to carry 4 wide receivers, right? And we have to see how hurt Derek Young is because he's an obvious player you keep for what he can do in the run game, blocking wise. I'm sure he contributes well on special teams. You also have names like Cody Thompson. We have to see how hurt he is, but he's in his 3rd year with the team, 4th year. Like you would think they would value his body of work with the team and experience. However, there are names, young names, who are going to warrant consideration because of their availability. So first up is Aesop Winston. Good for him. He had 4 catches on the day. He had 3 catches on the day for 74 yards and almost a touchdown. And he kind of kickstarted that offense, moving the ball and not being bad. He obviously also has had successful games in the past, like in this past preseason, and you kind of have to factor that in. So against the Cowboys, he had no catches. So you probably have to factor that in. But what I was remembering was that Vikings game, the first game, where he had the nice touchdown, bulleted in from Duloc on like the slant play, showed good concentration in traffic because that was a real tight window. You're going to get hit. And he had 3 catches for 29 yards and that touchdown, like I said. So how do we feel about him versus a Thompson or a Derek Young? And also, am I missing someone else out?
I
Probably
mean,
Cade.
Yeah, Cade potentially. But for me, I mean, like ideal choice because I don't think that just with the way that things sound that Derek's going to be ready to go here anytime soon. So my choice would be Cody because he's a good special teamer, and that's primarily what he's going to be doing. But if not, then I mean, Aesop has been the most impressive to me out of the rest of these guys. But it's not like no shade to him, but like it's not a great choice. Like I would think that they would probably look outside of the organization once cuts are made and all that to see if maybe there's a better fit for them. But yeah, that, like of the guys that we saw play today, probably him.
And then I feel like outside of that, outside shot would be like Matt Landers, although he feels like a practice squad priority.
Yeah,
not I don't see him making the team. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't rule out Cade. I feel like he's probably been a good practice player. He was a good college player. He fits the offense really well.
He can also do punt returns, kick returns, all that stuff.
True. All true. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But they might reward Aesop. They probably, I mean, if Aesop was going to be a guy that they wanted to get on practice squad anyway, they're going to have to eventually cut one of these guys once Derek comes back, if that's way down the line, and then when Eskridge comes back because he factors into the numbers. Outside of that, I mean, they're going to offset this by carrying Mabry at tight end, so they'll have 4 tight ends too.
And also special teams contributions. Today, like, and that wide receiver 5 or 6, if they can offer something like Obviously, coverage would help, but return ability is in ability in the return game.
Yeah.
That would help. Now, in the return game today, unfortunately, the zone were not in the zone, and they decided not to show like half the punt returns. So over to you guys. Well, I see Seattle had one punt return for 21 yards and one kickoff return for 26 yards. Do we know who did those?
Okay. The kick return I think was Flowers,
Nice.
and then I don't remember who did the punt return.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
so
Yeah.
Aesop didn't help himself there, but anyway. So
Aesop
if
actually made a mistake on a punt where
Oh.
he was backpedaling to his goal line and he fair caught it. And he didn't let it just drop.
Yeah, I saw that. Sort of
Yeah.
trying too hard to kind of play.
Yeah.
So if Aesop, did he run what 40 did he run? Because if it's fast, then it could be, if him and Jake Bobo make the team, it could be a case of the hare and the tortoise, couldn't it?
Let's look that up.
Nice reference there, Matty.
Yeah. He ran a 4.5 and maxed out at a 4.4 at a 4.42.
Okay. Interesting. 40-yard dash scouting. So it was unfortunate that Drew Lock was unable to quite connect with Kay Johnson on that deep play. Ty, I remember you were a Kay Johnson fan, but he's right on the edge, isn't he? And that was a big heave downfield, and I was like, oh, he got 2 feet in, but apparently not.
Yeah, I feel like that's a play that 2 years ago I would have thought in my head, yeah, he's making that because I really liked his footwork in college, but we just haven't really seen that come to fruition at the NFL level. So I'm not sure. The thing again that really intrigues me here, and again, if we're talking about a wide receiver 5, a wide receiver 6, whatever, like they have to contribute on special teams. That's what their main role is going to be, unless injuries happen. So what can he provide on special teams? It's really the return stuff, and he was able to do that in college pretty well. So maybe he can handle that. And for me personally, like my preference with my returners, specifically punt returners, since they're the ones that are going to be taking on the most damage there, is that it's someone at the bottom of the depth chart where that's just their role. Like I don't want JSN doing that. Like I don't want JSN taking that on. I don't want Tyler taking that on. I don't want any of those dudes taking it on. So yeah, if you can find someone like if you think Cade can do that, then that's probably more valuable to you than what Aesop brings to the table. But I don't know. I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
I think the only time we saw Aesop take a punt was today on that one play. So that doesn't really like show us anything. So it's such a specific role, and at the end of the day, it's just depth. But if you can get more out of him just than depth, then great. But yeah, we just don't have enough. Like, we don't have enough data on that.
Yeah. So realistically, sounds like more of a practice squad guy, but an intriguing guy to keep around. And I remember Griff had completely blanking on the name, but there was that kind of slot receiver Seattle had. He went to Green Bay, I think, and Dallas, who was an intriguing
Bo Melton. Bo Melton.
No, before that. Russ had a connection with him.
Oh, Malik Turner.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Righto.
He's with Indy now, I think.
What a name that is. So another guy who, to me, is probably just a practice squad guy, but a really intriguing one to keep around is Sorodic Thompson Jr. Now, he only had 7 carries for 17 yards and a 2.4 yards per carry average. But that doesn't really tell the full story. He also rushed for a touchdown, but he just, and 2 of those carries came in the goal line situation, to be fair to him. But he just makes plays. And even on that, and Pete Carroll praised that ability too, the ability for him to kind of bounce out stuff. But like even on Bobo's touchdown catch, Roderick Thompson did a great job of securing the edge in pass pro. Okay, he's against the lesser talent, but he stuck in there, did really well not to hold, stayed square, didn't get pushed back into Drew, secured the edge. So
yeah, he's a sharp runner. I mean, he's a decent player. He should find his way onto the practice squad, I think.
Yep, be a decent stash. He can do a little bit of everything,
Yeah. So
I don't think he showed enough to make another team excited to sign him onto their 53. So
no.
But it's good depth to have potentially.
Finally, on the offense, Holton Ahlers did a nice job. He got put in with
We were
for a
robbed
2-minute drill.
of the game-winning drive.
His
Ahlers
family were
game-winning
watching,
drive.
so that's cool that they got to see that. And
Yeah.
he marched them down the field. Like they had a 12-play, 63-yard drive. They got down to Green Bay's 12, but unfortunately, that is where it ended on the 12th play where he threw a pick. Do we have anything to say about that other than it could have been great?
No, he was composed. I'll give him that. I don't know what happened on that final play.
He read the mic and then he didn't realize there was a post safety. I think he just thought his middle field open.
More my issue was, why did they call a design run with like 19 seconds to go and 1 timeout left just for him to run for 2 yards and then waste their final timeout?
Yeah, I think I'd have like passed and then done that, right?
Yeah,
but I think the thinking is if you then get a negative play, you can't call the run, and it's Pete wanting all 4 shots. He wants to be able to call the run. But Green Bay's defense, Green Bay's defense, they adapted real good up right there. They were scheming.
I gotta interrupt. The bases are loaded again.
Teo has the chance to do something incredibly funny.
Oh my god!
What's the score in this game? Is it?
It's 7. The Mariners have put up.
Out.
But they scored. It's now 8-0.
Okay.
Touchdown and 2-point.
Pathetic. He didn't hit it out the park. He just got a hit.
He didn't even get a hit. No, he grounded out, but it scored a run.
Right.
Yeah.
So when someone grinds it out and someone scores, why isn't that a sacrifice ground out?
Well, you still get the RBI.
You get the RBI.
But whereas with sacrifice fly, you don't.
Sacrifice? No, you do.
So then why can't they both be sacrificial?
I don't.
You see how silly this is?
It's baseball.
Yeah, that's so baseball.
Welcome to the Locked On Mariners podcast.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the NFL football, which was high quality here. The Seahawks defense, as we've said, they held Green Bay to 3.6 yards per carry, even excluding quarterback runs, so not dreadful. But if we talk like player-wise, did anyone pop? To me, it's noteworthy that Jonathan Sutherland was out from this game. Now, you would think he's a guy who's on the fringes of the roster, but he did play a lot, and I don't know. Like he was dealing with a calf thing. Yeah. I would be interested to see what happens with him. Like, is he hurt or is he
a lot
hurt? Where he goes back onto the practice. Like they'll want to keep him if they can. So
definitely, he's definitely played his way into consideration. He's got to stick with the org somehow.
I mean, now if Blunt's injury is fairly serious, maybe that opens up the door. But yeah.
At D-line, it didn't seem like anyone. Hall had maybe a couple of rushes, but no one really had the juice that they had in previous weeks. I wonder how much was that young guys being on the road for the first time. They landed in Green Bay this morning, didn't they? So
early start.
Yeah, early start. They have 10 a.m. body clock versus a 1 p.m. body clock for the Green Bay players. I don't know. Just none of them had a lot of juice, at least coming forward. I thought both Perry and Gotel anchored fairly well. Like those guys, I think Perry's probably ahead. But if Morris can't make the 53, that sixth spot is open, and I imagine they go 6 interior defensive linemen. It feels like Perry is the natural answer. Him playing inside. He also played some end too, which is good to see. I mean, he's been doing that, but he played some end as well. And then Gotel just feels like their next Brian Monet, who they put on the practice squad, and they either call him up or he gets real play time next year. So I feel kind of okay about nose tackle from relative to what we're working with here. Now of course they want to go trade for DeForest Buckner. Then he'll be your 6th defensive lineman.
And you, Griff, have some interesting observations regarding dates on a trade, don't you?
Well, I mean, so they, in response to whoever their final 53 cut down, when they've made the 2 big trades, it was Sheldon Richardson, September 1st, Davion Clowney, August 29th. And then they've also made in-season trades too. So they're still willing to respond to what they see as deficiencies in their roster. That was the Dwayne Brown trade, Quandre Diggs trade. Although the Diggs trade was more opportunistic, not necessarily like an oh shoot situation. He just worked out really well. Then Carlos Dunlap, of course, too, happened. So, and I think they would have been willing to have made the Dunlap trade earlier in the offseason had that been available, because I don't think the Bengals knew what situation they were going to be in. So, I mean, I imagine John's at least calling around. Someone put Travis Gibson in the chat. Yeah, I saw that news. I feel like he's too much of a tweener. They have enough of those body types.
Yeah, he's not really like good enough to trade for, right?
Yeah, I mean, for the 5th round, 6th, 7th round pick, sure, why not? I mean, because the other guys that we could be talking about, like Lawrence Guy for a 6th round pick, he's a floor raiser, but he's the equivalent of signing Akeem Hicks for $1 million. Do you even need to trade a guy for that? I don't know.
Right. But circling it back to the players Seattle currently have, you said that no one really stood out on the D line. That extends to outside backer, right? Where like Tyreek Smith versus Levi Bell going into this game, I was like, can one of these guys separate themselves? Because they're the two kind of battling it out for that last spot. And we'll have to see how hurt Hall is, because maybe he starts on the IR and that creates an opportunity. Hopefully not, but I didn't really see Bell or Smith standing out from each other. Did you?
Yeah, no, not really. And they did put Bell inside. I mean, that's a good sign for Bell. Obviously, he doesn't fit a defensive tackle. They all know that. But they're just giving the guy reps and seeing what the extent of he can handle, because they respect his athleticism and strength to weight ratio to hold up in there. And he played admirably, in terms of just like he survived at 260 playing one technique on 1st and 10. Like, what the hell?
I felt bad for him.
Yeah,
he was like
I'm sure
he was like getting combo blocked and shit. I was like,
I'm sure he loved it from like a sicko perspective. He's a sicko, complimentary, but that was fun. So I don't know if he can make the team. I really don't know if he can. Practice squad him, and then also like he might actually be the fullback of the future. Ballore can't play forever. And they do like to have a fullback here and there. So maybe practice squad, then he's the fullback next year. So I don't know. I have to go. So you guys are going to have to take over.
Bye.
Love you.
To survive without me. Love you guys. Bye.
Love you
Bye,
too.
chat.
Bye.
All right. Well, now that he's gone, now we can talk about
Wow.
some real ball.
Look at that. Yeah. I think Griff is on the right track, and as we've pointed out before, there are other teams who, like all the other teams in the league, have these kind of fringe guys they really like, but they go to the practice squad. It'd be quite wild if someone was like, yes, we must have this guy. Like,
must have.
I don't think he's shown enough to warrant that, but I mean, we'll see. I just don't think he's separated enough than like what he needed to do.
Yeah. So we'll see. I would like to keep Tyreek. Like if it's between those two guys, I would prefer keeping Tyreek.
Yeah. Okay. So the big kind of takeaway for me from this was the cornerback situation. So Mike Jackson got beat for a touchdown and had some other rough moments. Like corners are going to get beat. Yeah. The actual real rough one was, and I think it was cover 4. We should have asked Griff about this as well, but luckily Jordan Love just like was throwing into the wind, but also the broadcast seemed to make out that throwing the deep ball was like a weakness of his. But like it just floated up in the air and allowed Jackson and the safety next to him, Blunt, to recover. But I think he was on a cover 4 side. Like Green Bay mixed in up tempo, and he just missed his he was trying to catch it, I think, or just read the route wrong.
Yeah, that's a play that looks good on the TV copy for Mike Jack. Like it looks like a good recovery, and it is good on him for making the recovery and getting his hand on the ball. But if Love makes a better throw there, that play is not even possible for Mike. So he got toasted on that play. He was getting cooked out there pretty much all afternoon, which sucks for him. But also need to keep in mind here he's playing out of position, right? He's playing right corner, and Trey is playing left, which I think that probably says a lot about just kind of how the competition is going in general. I do kind of wonder if it's a DJ Reed type of situation where Mike's just way more comfortable on the left side than he is on the right side. and we're just kind of seeing that play out. Obviously, he's going up against a really good receiver in Christian Watson, like really good receiver. But yeah, he definitely did not do himself any favors today.
Yeah, like because he played solid football where we didn't really talk about him because he was playing so solid. Like people kind of just
Yeah.
forgot he was on the left side, and now he's been asked to move over to the right because Reek Willem was out, and that was the first opportunity of Witherspoon playing on the left. And it just so happens now Witherspoon's coming back, Reek Willem's coming back, and yeah, playing on the right hand side is different. Like there's a reason Richard Sherman stuck to one side because, as Pete Carroll said, he stepped with the wrong foot sometimes on the right. Like stuff happens, and as Griff's likened it to brushing your teeth like left-handed, like it just feels a bit weird. It's the same kind of deal was right tackle versus left tackle on the offense. So, that doesn't help, but unfortunately for him, he did also get beat by Watson on the back shoulder fade. Narrowly beat, almost reached a hand in, but he was beat and he gave up the touchdown. He responded well, like immediately blocking the extra point. But from a Seattle perspective, it would be interesting to see how they view him versus Trey Brown. I'm sure they're open to trading either of them. I think that it's sort of what they can get out of that. They obviously have Artie Burns on the back end of the roster too, which makes it more secure that the decision to do that if they do. Brown at left corner, he didn't really, unfortunately, we didn't get to see him do much, like on the broadcast, obviously. And his first week one was rough, he hasn't exactly earned it necessarily. He made a good play against perimeter screen in this game, taking on a stalk block, forcing the ball outside. But in terms of the coverage stuff, just didn't see much from him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the fact that we didn't really see him a lot on the TV copy is a good thing. We'll have to see when the tape drops, but yeah, I mean, like the talent there. I mean, the upside is obviously higher with Trey than it is with Mike. Even after the injury, in my opinion. So I get it, and the thing though is like if you put Mike back on the left side when everything when everyone's healthy and back on the field, and you have Devin in the slot and you have Reek on the right side, like does Mike play up a lot better there, or is this is it not just a positional change for him that's causing these issues, and maybe he is kind of struggling right now?
Well, it is back-to-back weeks of him playing on the getting picked on by teams. Like Cooper Rush was picking on him last week, and he was playing on the left side last week.
He was, against Tolbert, Jalen Tolbert.
Yeah, so it could be that he's just losing the competition. We'll have to see what they do. It's fascinating because they think Witherspoon's going to be ready week one, but Pete Carroll also said prior to this game that everyone would get an opportunity to play, where they're going to kind of have a rotation going, perhaps. But has Jackson lost that chance now? We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Okay, finally, Ty, unless you have other ideas to talk about, but inside backer, again, we kind of just confirmed what we knew. Like, I think O'Connell was the best of the rest. Again, I do worry about him tackling one-on-one. He's kind of light, but...
Yeah, he's better than what we thought they were going to have depth wise at that spot. So I mean that's great. And so like with him and Bush, I actually feel a lot better about that position group, especially if Brooks is actually going to be able to come back here in week one. So yeah, that's kind of one of those like surprise things that just came out of nowhere where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's actually not as much of an issue as I thought. Still don't think that it's like necessarily in a great spot at position group, but it's again, it's a lot better than I think any of us really thought it would be heading into the season. So yeah, I like him a little bit. I also want to just real quick, going back to the safeties real quick. Jarek Reed had a really good game today.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Jarek Reed's balling. And that's so cool because on the tape, like when you watch it back and you can see all 22 people, he's covering guys in a variety of techniques. He's showing his movement skills off, but obviously often the deep safety doesn't get a chance to show that on the broadcast unless the ball's thrown. And if you're doing your job well, then the ball's not thrown. So it kind of goes hand in hand. But yeah, this game, wow.
Yeah, he's all over the place. He's making he made like a couple of impressive open field tackles. Like he's good, man. He can play some ball. So like I feel great about the safety depth. with this team.
Yeah, safety
especially-
depth's nuts. Like we
Yeah.
didn't see Kobe Bryant that much today. It was mainly like a Joey Blunt, Jarek Reed, then Ty Okada, and like
Yeah.
guys I was less familiar with there. But
Mhm.
like, you know, we're talking Quandre Diggs, Julian Love, Jamal Adams, Kobe Bryant, Jarek Reed, Jonathan Sutherland. That's 6 like really solid, interesting safeties.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Joey Blunt. I didn't mention him, did I? So that's 7.
No, you did. You did.
Oh,
you
I
did.
did. Okay, we
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
we can't add an extra guy. Right? Yeah. So
Joey Blunt is so good that he's actually 2 people. He's the Shohei Ohtani of football players, safeties.
there you go. And I imagine there might be some winking going on, and perhaps they find ways to get guys onto practice squads effectively.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Because ultimately,
Julio just summer.
the big event is Tuesday, 4 p.m.
Yep.
Eastern. What's that? 1 p.m. Pacific time.
Mhm.
The rosters are cut down from 90 to 53, and then shortly afterwards they start getting the practice squads done. And ultimately, when guys are picking up certain positions, they're looking for, can you contribute in week 1 for us on special teams?
Yeah.
And if you're injured, then you can't, and then there's a way of getting you back. So
Right.
that's how I view a lot of this process.
Right. Yeah. So that might be the case there with Sutherland, like someone with like Sutherland. I'm interested to see how this all goes, right? Because this is the first time we haven't had cut downs being staggered, right? We're just going straight from 90 to 53 here. So does that change things at all, like in terms of trades or anything like that? I'm really interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, because you would think there'd be like 1 or 2 extra trades, right? Because people would be like, oh, we didn't think you'd cut that guy, and then because there's more cuts, then there's more of that happening right now. Like,
well, and also that may mean that some other guys might fly under the radar that otherwise wouldn't. If you're cutting down from 90 to 53 instead of like 75 to 53 or 70 to 53, whatever it was 75 to 53,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so I mean, just more guys getting cut around the league, like, yeah, that probably offers up more opportunities for, like again with a Sutherland, like even if he wasn't hurt, maybe that gives them an opportunity to kind of slide him through the cracks there. But
yeah. Monjombo asks, so whoever scouted Reed from New Mexico before the draft was onto something after all. Yeah, I believe that was Seahawks area scout. Is it Ryan Florence? Is that his name?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, clearly. Now, Pete mentioned before this game he wanted to see more from Reed on special teams. So that's clearly been like a bugbear for them, like a gripe. I will have to watch that back. But like, if he got cut, I'd be super surprised given how well he's played. But you never know, 6th round pick.
Yeah, but still, I mean, the way that he's played defensively, though, I think.
Yeah.
You figure out the special team stuff.
Right.
Yeah, you don't cut him for the sake of that. Like if he's doing what's ultimately most important there, which is the defense stuff. Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's the preseason done. As I said, there's cut downs, so we'll have to react to that as a podcast. I think we should do a preseason preview, like a season preview before the season. That's a preview, and I think maybe we could do a mailbag as well, Ty.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, we could do a
we
mailbag.
Could. That might keep that structured.
Yeah. Would you guys prefer doing that on Twitter? Would you guys prefer that doing that on here? Like we could make a community post from Matty's channel.
Oh my gosh, we could do both.
Questions. Do both.
A community post. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. So let us know. You guys want to do a mailbag? Do a mailbag. Yeah. Let's do a season preview. Let's do a mailbag because we got with just 3 preseason games now, we get a week off before real football is played. So yeah, anything that kind of fills up that time, we're happy to do.
A week for DeForest Buckner.
That's right. Or Chris Jones, obviously, Matty.
Oh right, yeah. Let's keep it realistic.
Because the Seahawks, they definitely have the money for that.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks everyone.
They're trading for Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. I mean, that would
and
be...
DeForest Buckner.
I would like to be able to simulate various timelines of that and just look at Twitter, basically.
Yeah, I would love it if one of these reporters tweeted, the Seahawks and Colts have made a trade and gaslight Griff, and then it's Jonathan Taylor.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, how can we make this work? Yes, we could do that.
We need to talk to some people.
Yeah. All right,
We
stay
have some
tuned for
DMs
that.
to send.
But until then, goodbye, everyone. Thanks
Bye.
for tuning in. Like the podcast, follow Ty at Dane Gunzelers, follow Griff at C Mike Spin Move, follow me at Matty F Brown, follow the pod at Seattle Overload, and please do 5-star reviews. And if you're watching live, like the video because it really does help. Leave a comment, all that good stuff. Thank you.